Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower is sweet, but the fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat. Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower is sweet, but the fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat.
Hello and welcome to Lemonade Life Podcast, where we shine a spotlight on people who have wonderful stories, go making lemonade out of lemon. So today I have a very special guest from you're in Greece, right, Karina?
I am over in Greece.
All the way from Greece. We have Karina Kantas, and I'm going to pull up a little bio on her so I can tell you a little bit about this amazing lady. So Karina is a prolific author of 14 titles. She also writes short stories, and when her imagination is working overtime, she writes thought-provoking dark flash fiction. Whoa! There are many layers to Karina's writing style and voice, as you will see in her flash fiction collection, Heads and Tails, and in Undress, she opens up more to her fans, giving them another glimpse into her warped mind. Oh, this is going to be so exciting. When Karina isn't busy working on her new bestseller, she's a publicist, author, manager, and VA. She also is the host of the popular radio show Author Assist on the Artist First Radio Network, and host of the YouTube show Behind the Pen, with 2 podcasts, narration by KK and Behind the Pen. Wow, that is a lot. That's amazing. I'm so excited to dig into this. Welcome, Karina. So happy to have you.
Thank you for having me. It's nice to talk with you again.
It is very much so. So welcome. Gee, where do we go first? How about the warped mind?
The warped mind, yeah. Well, the first books that I wrote, which were the Outlaw series, which are about outlaw motorcycle thriller romances. Think of Sons of Anarchy if you ever watched it, or the Hells Angels, what they get up to.
Yeah.
So it's a 4-book series, and it was actually, the ideas came from nightmares that I had. That's where the original stories came from for those 4 books. And when you say flash fiction, I don't know if people know what that is. It's also called 1-minute fiction. It's a story, maybe 500 to 1,000 words, really tiny, but it has to have a start, middle, and end.
Sure.
All of mine are very dark, very twisted. And that's where the warped mind comes in. A lot of reviewers have said, I can't believe this is the same author writing all these little stories, because I have so many different writing styles. You think you're reading something from someone else, but it's actually all me. So I love writing flash fiction. It really, when you're writing a novel and you actually get stuck on a piece, on a scene, I like writing flash fiction because it gets the creative juices going again. And so once the flash fiction is written, then I'm ready to go back and get into the novel again. So that really helps me. And I'd done so many flash fictions. I thought, well, you know, they're in like e-zines and newsletters, and they've been previously published. But I thought, I'll put my own little collection. So that's Heads and Tails, which is it's like, you can see the cover is blue, but it's got a beautiful soft feather, and then it's wrapped up in barbed wire, which is like Heads and Tails. One side soft, one side hard, light, dark.
Beautiful cover. Yeah.
Yes, it is. It is a beautiful cover. Exactly what I wanted. So there's a mixture. Every single genre is in there: fantasy, thriller, horror, sci-fi, romance. Many different stories of different genres mixed up in that collection. The second collection was Undress, which has poetry, prose, and again a collection of flash fiction. This is the one where I open up more to my readers who already know my writing style, So there's like memories that I've had. There are excerpts of stories that never went anywhere, and I put them in because the ideas were fantastic. It's just I never bothered finishing them or whatever. So there's published work and unpublished work, excerpts, as well as poetry. Even though I don't class myself as a poet, I certainly don't have the passion for it. I have had poetry published, and there are poems in Undressed. But it's very deep. Some of the stories and poems in there are very deep and meaningful to me. And it wasn't until I went on a podcast and he read two of my flash fictions, and he said, "Oh, they're very dark." And I went, "What do you mean they're dark? It's like sci-fi." And then I looked at them and I was like, gosh, they are quite dark, aren't they? So I took all the dark ones out and made a little collection called A Flash of Horror, which is a beautiful little pocket book that you can carry in your handbag or in your pocket of your jeans or whatever. And it's all flash fiction, very, very short stories in the horror genre. They won't creep you out, but they will make you think.
Well,
they've all got twists at the end.
That's why you want to hope that what you read makes you think. So yeah, it might creep me out.
Well, I can quickly read one. It's only one page.
Oh, no, I'll have to try. I will have to try it and read it, because I shouldn't say it would creep me out when I don't know. But I will say I'm really fascinated by all of this, because I'm a nonfiction writer. I help people share their stories. I help them to craft their stories into something that they can publish. And as much as I love fiction, it's just something, I guess it's my own self-doubt, because I really haven't tried it, but it just doesn't feel necessarily like my area. But so I'm obviously very fascinated by your talent and ability to, especially to write, to many genres, because when you think of many authors who have made a name for themselves, it's because they've written in that, their same genre over and over and over again. It's a recipe that works. So they keep going with it.
Mm-hmm.
And one more comment, and then I'm going to turn it back over to you, because you're the guest and you're the one with the fascinating stories. But I have to say, sometimes I dream really vivid dreams. I have nightmares. I have pleasant dreams. I wake up sometimes in the morning and think, that was so detailed. That should have been a whole book or a movie. And I'm like,
well, it plays like a movie, doesn't it?
It goes away too fast, and I wish I could capture some of those, because they're pretty fascinating sometimes.
Yeah, I mean, dreams play like a movie, and if you're able to wake up and you have a pad and a pen right next to you, mm-hmm. and you're able to jot down the details, that you remember. Mine, it was like when I started writing a book. And I first had the nightmare and got the idea of what was going to happen. And then the next night when I slept, I dreamt about the book, and it went on to another scene. So when I woke up in the morning, that went into the book. And it worked like that until the book had finished. I was dreaming the book every night.
Wow.
It's very, very strange.
Yeah. It's amazing how the mind works, and everyone's mind works a little bit differently, but just speaking in general, the mind is an incredible organ. Most of us probably don't utilize it nearly enough.
I put a lot of myself in my books. Especially the first one, In Times of Violence, which is very biographical.
Okay.
It's a bit like The Outsiders on Motorbikes. If you know The Outsiders by S.E. Hinton, amazing book. And of course, the film came out with Brad Pitt and Emilio Estevez and Patrick Swayze and Rob Lowe, all the Brat Pack, all the gorgeous guys back in those days. Did the film The Outsiders, which is based on the book by S.E. Hinton. And she's the reason I became an author, because I read her books and I wanted to read more rebel type fiction, where you have the two sides fighting against one another, for a title, for social, for a name, to keep their name or to keep their part of their street or whatever. So I looked in the library and I just couldn't find any more books like that. I thought, oh, there's the marketplace there, it's open for me, and I had a story to tell, and that's how In Times of Violence came out. But Stone Cold, which is a young adult supernatural thriller, taking off the gruesome murders and the supernatural parts, it's very biographical. It's about how I was bullied through most of my schoolings in all the schools I went to, physically and mentally.
Really?
And I really get my revenge in this book, and it gave me a lot of closure when I wrote it. No real names aren't used.
I love that. I love that because, it's such human nature to want to get that revenge, right? But it's not a positive action, to take. And so to be able to get the revenge through your writing that's terrific. I love that.
Yeah, never mess with an author, because you'll end up being one of the characters in a book. But no, I needed to write that book. I really did need to write that book.
Yeah.
The stuff that I went through, what people and the bullies, anyone listening now who's a bully or who was a bully, what you don't realize is that when you leave the playground, you go back home and you leave school and you get a job and you get married and you forget all about what happened in the middle school. But the victim doesn't. The victim carries that memory with them through their college, through their relationship, through their motherhood with their children, and it doesn't go away. I can remember things that happened back when I was 8 or 9 at the time. You have to get therapy. You would have to get therapy to release everything and to try and forget. I've forgiven. I've spoken to some of the people that used to bully me at the time, but to write that book, to actually put some of the experiences that I had, especially when I was attacked in my own home. Yeah, I had the girls follow me home to my house, and I let them in. I didn't know what was going on at the time, and one of them actually got a knife and threatened me with it. She didn't say anything, she just held it to my throat.
Yeah.
I was being accused of spreading gossip or anything around her at school, which of course I didn't do. I had 3 other girls going around the house and taking stuff and pinching stuff, and I was in the kitchen with a knife at my throat. And when all the girls came back in the kitchen, they realized things had escalated, and they were really shocked with what they saw. And I just pleaded with her. I said, I don't know what you're talking about. I haven't done anything. You got me mixed up with someone else, let's just finish this, And she put the knife back in the drawer, and they left the house. And I just crumbled on the floor in my kitchen and just bawled. I was shaking. My dad came home like 5 minutes after. If he had come home...
Yeah, I was just thinking that. If he had walked in on that?
If he had walked in at lunchtime and seen that, but because of the state of me, and I told him what happened, we went to the school, they got suspended. Luckily, I never saw them again because it was towards the end of the actual schooling. But it's like I said, it's something that I'll never forget, and it's in Stone Cold because that was part of the awful experience that I had. That I did get some closure and did get some therapy from writing it out and playing it over again after so long, it takes you to a dark place again, and it's hard sometimes to get back into the light and move away from that. When you go back to something as horrific as that, then you have to come back out and join the family and get back into your reality and not step back into the past. But
well,
yeah,
you're talking my language now, so I mean that would be the first book I would go to, and I will, because now
Mhm.
I'm very, very intrigued to read it, because I'm all about people's stories. I
Mhm.
love, I'm fascinated by your mind and your ability to make up great stories. But there's nothing like somebody's personal story, what they lived through and how they lived through it and
Yeah.
how they grow in strength out of it. And you
Yeah.
described beautifully what my passion is, and that is helping people to get it on paper, because you can't really release it until you've done that. You put it
Yeah.
down on paper, live through the details,
Again,
um,
and just
and
let it
then forgive
try and let it
and
go.
love yourself and release it to the world. And that's what I do. So you just like, I'm like, wow, I gotta
This
go
is
get that
why I
book.
wanted to tell you that there is a piece of me in all of my books. There's a
Mhm.
piece of me. Some are more biographical than others, but experiences that I've had through my life, from being bullied to being around outlaw bikers and singing in a rock band, and the illnesses that I have now. I have two serious chronic illnesses that stop me from living life as full as I can. And it's all in there. Even the fantasy, there's stuff in even in the fantasy that would come from me, from something I've experienced, and then put it in a different context. But yeah, there's always a piece of Karina in my books.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Well, I think that's great, because now we've got to go out and read 14 titles you've written to really know who Karina Kantas is, right?
Well, the last one, Broken Chains, which is a dark mafia romance, very explicit, very graphic. So I don't think it would be your kind of book, Michelle. But there is everything that happens to poor old Lex, poor old Liz, because I really put her through the grinder before she gets happy ever after. Everything that happened to her never happened to me. But as a writer, I have to put myself in her shoes. I have to go through everything she's experiencing to make sure that the reader experiences that as well, can picture exactly what is happening in the
Mhm.
book as a film that's running. And unless I can get into her mindset and become that character and experience and write down exactly what she's feeling, what's happening to her, her emotions, then it will come across in the book fantastic, and the reader will be able to picture it straight away what's happening. And I've done my job as an author, you know. But again, it's especially dark stuff. It's hard to, when you get into the darkness and the violence and everything, it's difficult to move out. You take yourself, especially as an author, you suffer from depression anyway. Creative people do. It's one of those things that unfortunately we're cursed with, because we have a creative mind. So it's when you're in about a flare up or a bout of depression that you go into yourself, and you can get into the darkness of where you are in the novel.
Yep.
But again, it's sometimes it's hard to step away, and sometimes you have to step away from the book because it's too much,
Oh,
you know.
without a
But
doubt. Yeah. I've seen that back when I put my anthology together, the Lemonade Stand. I had to step away, because I was assisting with some of the editing and whatnot, and I kept immersing myself in these stories that were, difficult, and the challenges that these people that I had come to know and love. And, I just have to say, I can't read anymore. I just gotta walk away from this for a minute.
yeah.
But there's always that light, and that's what I love to see about the people sharing their stories, is that the people I work with, they've come out of it, and they understand how their story has shaped who they are, just as you obviously have had so many life experiences, and it
Mhm.
made you who you are. It's probably
Exactly.
why you write, such fascinating stories, because you've lived those stories. And then to me, it just doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, yeah. The stuff that there's two sides of Karina Kantas. There's that side with the writing and my business with Author Assist, my podcast and everything. And then the other side is me having a disability with my chronic illness and taking 15 pills a day just to try and get up in the morning and be able to do things. And people say, where do you get the strength? How do you manage doing all of that and coping with all of that?
Right.
It's because I do all of that I can cope. It's because I keep myself busy. It's because I'm helping people. It's because I feel like I'm doing something good in this world and I'm appreciated, and I know what I'm doing, and I enjoy what I'm doing, and that's what gets me up in the morning. That's what gets me smiling. That's what keeps me busy. That's what keeps me going. And of course, my family are absolutely amazing. I couldn't do what I do without
Right.
their help in everything, with everything that's going on.
But
And
yeah, if you focus too much on the pain or the challenge, then that is your current reality. My daughter has a chronic illness, and it's so hard to be on the other side of that, because I don't know what she experiences. I don't know what levels of pain that she deals with, but I also have known enough people that it's just like, you have to find something you love. Everyone has purpose. Everyone has purpose on this earth.
yes,
And
yes.
and unless you're putting yourself in your purpose, then you kind of victimize yourself in
Mhm.
because you're allowing the illness or the disease to take over. And I
This is
know it's
what I
difficult. I
refuse
know
I
that.
refuse
Yeah.
that. Yeah, I refuse that to happen. The first thing that happened with me was again diabetes, type 1, over in Corfu, Greece, and I nearly died. I was so high in sugar that he actually said to my husband, if you didn't bring her in when you did, she wouldn't be here now. It was so bad,
Wow.
because I was wrongly diagnosed, and all the medicine I was taking was syrups and sugar. And I was drinking Lucozade on the way to, which is like Gatorade, on the way to the hospital, because no one told me, suspected it was diabetes.
Wow.
So by the time I got to the hospital, I collapsed. I couldn't walk. And so that started. So it was like a why me. You have the why me,
You do.
and then you accept. You have the acceptance, and then you get on with it.
Yep.
And then something else comes along, and then something else comes along, and every year my list of health problems has grown.
Yep.
And you have so much strength. Sometimes it's so bad I can't get out of bed. Simple as that. I can't do anything that day. That day is one of the bad days. Okay, the next day I'm okay. I'll get up, I'll do what I have to do. But not allowing that to win and to take over,
Right.
and to carry on no matter how bad things get. And they are pretty bad, and they have been for the last 15 years since I was diagnosed with fibromyalgia. Not allowing that to take over, and to keep myself so busy I don't have to think about the pain. I don't have to think about not sleeping and memory problems and everything else that comes with that chronic illness. What I think about is what I'm doing next for my client, what's happening tomorrow, and checking my emails and doing stuff on Facebook. And I work 10 hours a day, 5 days a week. And then even at 10 o'clock at night, when I'm closed for business, I'm still on the computer working. And if any of my clients get in touch with me with a message, then I'm there for them anyway. And I go on Wattpad and I read for many hours because I have insomnia and I don't sleep. So I keep myself busy for all those hours. And then the next day comes and I could go 74 hours without sleep.
Oh,
And then I'm zombified and my body just crashes.
yeah.
Problem is you can't force yourself to sleep if your body and your mind is not ready to do that.
Fortunately, I'm knocking on wood right now because I've experienced very severe insomnia. Right now, I seem to have that much more controlled, and I'm so grateful because sleep is such a beautiful thing when you can. But I know what it is. But and it's hard, but you just keep going because you're right. You cannot force your mind to shut down if it's not ready to.
That's it. It's like, oh, why are you on the computer at 4 o'clock in the morning? I said, well, if I weren't on the computer, I'd just be laying here wide awake. So why not to do something and keep myself busy until I'm ready to sleep? And when I sleep, it's like what's that word? Narcolepsy. I'd be typing away on my computer. Next minute, and the computer will be on my lap. The problem is with fibromyalgia, the sleep won't allow you to get to REM 4, which is where you dream.
Right.
When you get to deep sleep, ready for the dreaming part, you wake up. So even when you can sleep, you're not having full restful sleep.
It's not a complete cycle of sleep.
No. And this has been going on for years, and I've got medication after medication, and my body's used to it now. I've got into a routine now. And so, but it affects you mentally, though, unfortunately. I didn't realize that insomnia could actually affect you, and you'd have like mental episodes. I'd have like what I called like spot blackouts. Mm-hmm. I'd be walking and all of a sudden everything will go dark and then things will come back. Wow. And it's not like I've collapsed. My eyes were open, but darkness was there. And I didn't know what was causing that until I went to a neurologist, and he said it's the insomnia. And I was so shocked that insomnia could actually cause an episode like that.
Well, and so I'm going to shift gears just a little bit because, as an author, you can truly drive yourself and your schedule to what you can or cannot do. But you also have, your resume reads like, a 20-year-old with, super energy.
Yeah, I've got
probably more than that, but you do have clients, and I guess that's my point. Is when when you've got a scheduled podcast, you have clients, and then it's not as easy to say, today's not a good day.
People rely on you, and you need to go and get on with things. Yeah.
So tell me a little bit about your coaching, your author assist, and how you help others to reach their dream of being an author.
27 years ago, when I first had my first book published, I was holding it in my hand. And I was like, yay! Actually, I was holding it to my chest and then just cuddling it. I wouldn't let it go. I was so proud, so happy. And then I thought, right, what do I do next? How do I sell this book? How do people know about this book? And I hadn't a clue. And so over the 27 years, I've found out how to do it correctly, the do's, the don'ts, from other authors, from webinars, from studying. And I know there's so many authors that are in the same situation that I was 27 years ago, that I want to give back everything I've learned to them, which means I do one-on-one training to show them how to use special software and programs that are out there that authors need to know how to use to help them with their marketing and promotion. I do full-time and part-time VA, which means I'm promoting every single day the author's book around social media. I do newsletters for the authors. I do book trailers, narrations. I get them reviews. I've got a list of stuff. ACX for audiobooks. I get that set up. Graphics for promotions. I've got about 30 items of services that I do. So you look at it and it's like a pick and mix. I'll have one of those and one of those and one of those. You know, what the author needs help with, I'm there. I've done it. I know what I'm talking about. I did advertising and marketing at college anyway. So I have that, can I say, without sounding like a big head, I have that natural talent of knowing how to promote somebody and market their work.
You got to own your zone of genius. So, you know,
it's lovely absolutely. To be able to give back, though, because I know there's so many authors are in the same situation as me, and I can say to them, right, let's have a look at your social media platforms. Let's see what you're doing wrong. Let's see where we're going with this. Let's have a look at your blurb of your book. Let's have a look at the cover. Now, everyone knows me in the writing community, like on Facebook. Everyone knows me that I'm a straight person. If someone asks my opinion on something, they'll get it. Whether it's a negative or a positive, I will tell them exactly my opinion if that's what they want to hear, the truth. And a lot of people really accept that and are happy to hear the truth, that I'm sorry, your book cover, your book isn't selling because your book cover is not selling the book.
Right.
It's the cover is the first thing the person sees before they read the blurb or the reviews. So that cover has to sell the book. It has to show what the book's about, what the reader's going to get. It's got to be eye-catching. It's got to have a nice font, nice colors, and everything like that. So one of my I've been working with her about 4 months now. We started right from the beginning. Mm-hmm. She had 2 years with her books and no sales. I changed all the covers. We worked on the blurbs. We did and I did her a new website. We did new social media. So she was like a brand new author, new logo, new branding, everything. And it's going so well now, and she's selling, and people know who she is now, and they know what she's writing about, and that makes me really happy when something like that works and they actually listen to me. If I give my advice and give my suggestions, it's up to them whether or not they're going to follow them. I can't force someone to do that. But luckily, most of the authors that I've worked with needed the help, listened to what my advice was, followed it, and has been successful. I've had my clients go up to Amazon bestsellers quite quickly by following my advice. I've had them won awards. They're now best-selling authors.
Wow.
Yeah. So I'm doing something right, and I feel really, really good that I'm helping people, because all the jobs that I've done before I became ill, I never felt comfortable. I never felt satisfied. I never felt like I was doing something I should be doing. Then when I became ill and I couldn't work and I started Author Assist, I felt like this was my path. This is what I was meant to do.
Doesn't that feel great when you fall into that space that is just, you know, I feel the same way. It wasn't until Lemonade Legend, you know, really became a business that I knew what my purpose was. And
exactly. When you find that path and you're on it,
yeah,
it's just so fulfilling. It really
you don't even
is.
think about 10-hour days or 12-hour day or working weekends,
no.
whatever it takes. It just becomes, for me, it's my life, you know.
Yeah,
and I'm
exactly.
enjoying it. And so why wouldn't I
exactly.
spend, you know, Saturday or Sunday doing it? But also, if I want to go take a weekend somewhere, I can do that, you know. So it's a great feeling to really know your purpose and understand that. And I can mean, I can really feel it when you're talking about it. And what you're doing for people, because I've experienced it too. That first book is like, oh, it's like giving birth to a baby. I mean, it just
You're
so
like, it's crying.
incredible.
Why is it crying? What do I do with it?
Yeah, exactly. But the other thing is too, and this is what I experienced on my first book. I spent a good amount of money for a company to help me. I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
And what they didn't
Yeah.
give me was what I
What you
really
paid
needed to
for.
sell the book, which was all
Yeah.
the marketing and the know-how to, because books don't sell themselves. You
No.
know, they don't sit on Amazon just waiting for people.
There are so
them.
many companies out there, big ones that say they are publicity and they can do this for you and they can do that for you, and they charge an absolute fortune, and you don't get what you paid for. You don't get what you assumed you were going to get, and so many people have been caught in that web. There are PAs. I've hired PAs on Facebook because I have so many books and no time to promote my own books. So I've actually hired PAs, and unfortunately, none of them have given what they promised.
Right.
And that's something that I will not let my clients down. If they've paid for a service, they will get that service. If they ask for something and I don't think I'm capable of doing it, I will not take that money. I would tell them, I'm sorry, I can't do that for you. So with me, you get what you pay for, but I get told off so many times because I'm not charging enough for all the work I do. It's like, you should be charging more. You what you do for people and the hours you put in and the effort you put in, you should be charging more compared to all the other prices of the other VA and PAs. But the reason I don't is because I'm an author and I know how much it costs to write, publish, promote, and market your book. So I keep the prices as low. I haven't changed them in the last 3 years.
Yeah.
I keep them as low as possible. We're talking $10 a day for VA work. That is nothing.
Nothing. No. And you probably should be charging more than you're charging. However, I appreciate your approach and the thought behind that, because yes, it's those people who are charging a lot of money and who are not delivering what on their promises, who keep people from coming to someone like me or like you because they get burned and they have a bad experience, and then they're like
scared to.
I don't want, you know. How do I know I'm not going to get burned again? So that's a hard thing to overcome, because it
is. And I've spoken to authors that were and ahhing, and I've said, right, let's have a webcam meeting. Let's meet, let's chat. And so we do that first, see if we can connect, to see if we can work together. You know, where you've got that chemistry when you meet somebody.
Yeah.
Then I will ask them exactly where their problem is, what they need help with, and I will explain to them what I do and what will happen if they hired me. And then I send them to my
website.
No, yeah, I send them to my website, but it has the testimonials. There we go.
Oh, there you go.
I send them to the testimonials so they can read from my clients what I'm like working with, and all of them say the same thing, that I'm honest, hardworking, very talented. If you need help with your book, you have to go to Karina. She's the right person. And so speaking with them face to face first, so you can see if they know what they're talking about, if they're a bit and ahhing, and yes, I can do that. But to speaking face to face, I think you can get across. I'm so adamant about going through every single step with them of what I would do for them, and promise, you know, this is what you pay for, this is what you will get. I know you've been burned. I promise you that's not going to happen with me. And I know I'm cheap, but it doesn't mean because I'm cheap, I'm bad at my job.
Right.
Which is totally the opposite. If I charged more, maybe people will think I'm better at my job than I am, but then I
I don't
don't
know.
want to do that. I
I have been
can't.
accused of giving away the farm more times than I can tell you, just because, I've been in a place of scarcity, and, I know what it feels like to be on a budget and, and to throw away money on, bad services and all those different things. So sometimes when I see prices that are getting charged by coaches and whatnot,
Mhm.
and businesses, I'm just like astounded, like that's a lot of money.
I know. They keep on emailing me, and we're talking. One was 2,000, one was 5,000, another course was 700, and I'm like, first of all, I haven't got that money, and even if I had, I wouldn't spend that money on what
Right.
you're offering.
Yeah, I think it's hard for people to decipher, what is going to be a benefit of and what's going to be wasting my money, because there is a lot out there. But we're going to have to wrap this up. Unfortunately, I feel like we could just, keep on going for the longest time. But most importantly, how can people get a hold of you who would like to work with you?
Well, you can contact me on Facebook, Author Assist. I have my own page on there. Also, Author Assist, Kay Gantas Author Assist on WordPress.com. And it's Kay Gantas Author Assist at gmail.com if you want to email me. But you can contact me anyways, Karina Kantas on Facebook, because I'm on there 24/7. If you want a service sheet which has all the services, all the prices, everything laid out to you, then please let me know. I will send that to you. And my books, again, just Google or Yahoo my name, and everything will come up. I've been around for 27 years, and I've done everything I could be doing. I've won awards for my filmmaking, for my documentary filmmaking, for my book trailers. I've won awards for my books. The podcast, I've had so many famous people on there already, and that's going so well. The radio show, 5 years now with the radio show. So I'm around everywhere, and I don't have a pen name. And I write, like I said, in young adult, right up to erotica, dark romance. So there's something for everyone. And just Karina Kantas, that's me. That's who I am. There's what
And
you see is what you get.
who you are is a pretty fascinating person. Kudos to you for not letting your obstacles stop you from doing what you love to do, from serving others. Writing and being an author, that's near and dear to my heart. I would so much rather sit down and read a book than watch a movie or TV. And so,
Yeah, I got a TV. I never switch it on. I don't know the last time I switched my TV on. I really don't.
and most of it isn't very interesting anyway. We're like, to immerse yourself in a beautifully written book is just, there's really nothing better. So
step away from reality into another one. It's amazing when you can just lose yourself. Yeah.
Yep. And sometimes you just need to do that. So I applaud you and I thank you for doing what you do and
thank you, Michelle.
Serving others. And I so look forward to having continued conversation with you. But for right now, we need to wrap this one up. And I would love to have another conversation with you again. So
anytime. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. Absolutely my pleasure. So this episode, we will be wrapping up, and another Lemonade Life podcast with Karina Kantas. And you're a little bit of competition to me, but I don't care. I love it. There's so much out there, and in fact, I'm thinking I need to learn from you because you've got 27 years under your belt. I only have a few years. So
I'll send you my service sheet, Michelle. I'll send you the service sheet. Maybe there's something there that you need help with.
Absolutely. Anyway, that's it for today. Thank you all for tuning in and listening to a little chat on being an author and loving what we do. So that's it for today. Bye, folks. I appreciate so much everyone listening in. So thank you.
Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower is sweet, but the fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat. Lemon tree, very pretty, and the lemon flower is sweet, but the fruit of the poor lemon is impossible to eat.